The breath and Mula Bandha are the foundation of your Ashtanga Yoga practice. This is the most important part of it, and it takes years and years to perfect. But when you're perfecting a pose, always bring your awareness back to the breath. Today we're going to break down free breathing, as we call it in Ashtanga, as well as Mula Bandha, and try to understand how this works. And then when you're doing all of your postures, you can incorporate this breathing into your exercises. How we're going to start is having you lie down on your back. Knees are touching and the feet are apart. So you've got like a tripod. And you're just going to rest, taking your hands below your belly button, comfortably on your back. We're going to start in that position. Okay, find that position now. Hands are below your belly button. And we're going to start by learning what free breathing is. Free breathing is a process of stretching the breath and extending the life force or the energy. And over time, you'll notice that your breath gets longer and steadier and your lungs are stronger. So just open your mouth as you're breathing and just inhale an audible ah, exhale a ha. Do this a few times. Inhale ah, exhale ha. Once more, ah with your mouth open and ha with your mouth closed. Open. Now we're going to close your mouth because you're probably feeling the back of your throat drying out, and do the same aha. Now as you're lying on your back, as you inhale ah, notice the belly lifts up towards the ceiling. As you exhale the ha through the nose, mouth closed, the belly falls away. This is belly breathing. Inhale, the belly lifts, and exhale, the belly falls. Once more, inhale ah, exhale ha. Now that we've closed the breath, notice there's a sound being made. Inhale ah, exhale ha. Some people call it Darth Vader breathing. You could think of it as the sound of the ocean, but there's an audible sound that's being created. It feels as if we're breathing at the base of the sinuses, as if there's a swirling of air at that base. Air comes through to the back of the throat, there's a dilation of the glottis, and it feels as if we're creating space in the back of the throat. Now, over time, what happens is this allows you to stretch and really elongate the breath. A gentle hissing sound is made. So in this free breathing technique, it's a very heating breath. It actually heats up the body. And when you're doing yoga postures, in correlation with the breath, you'll actually begin to sweat just from using this breathing. If you hear a grunting sound, you're probably overdoing it, or a snorting sound, but just find your breath as you're breathing here. Inhale the ah, breathing through the nose, exhaling the ha sound. It's important to breathe through the nose because if we breathe through the mouth as we started, just to get that sound, we lose heat and we dry out the back of our throat. So breathing in and out through the nose, ah-ha sound. This free breathing is a cleansing breath. As I mentioned, it heats the body. It stimulates and regulates the metabolism. It's very strengthening to the lungs. And also, it's very meditative. The sound alone, that ocean sound breath, is calming, and it calms the nervous system. Now, we've been doing this with belly breathing, and it's actually hard to do it with belly breathing. Normally, in Ashtanga Yoga, we use what's called Mula Bandha. It's hard to consider this free breathing without the use of Mula Bandha. So we're going to experience that now. Still lying on your back, knees together, feet on an angle, and this time make sure your hand is located about an inch below your belly button. Now, as we've noticed, as we inhale, what we've been doing, the belly rises, and as we exhale, the belly falls. This time, as you inhale, feel the belly rise. As you exhale the ha sound, the belly falls. Now see if you can hold a subtle contraction. So on your next inhalation, as you inhale, there's very little movement where your hand is holding the belly. As you exhale, the belly naturally falls in. And again, hold that subtle contraction as you inhale. We call this Mula Bandha. And Mula means root and Bandha is the lock. So it's the root lock. So as you're lying here, we're harnessing the natural exhalation to draw the diaphragm up. It feels like the heart is lifting up, or the back of the heart maybe. We're opening through the lower back and the upper back, and we're really holding a nice contraction here to support the lower back. Continue to inhale the ah, exhale the ha. Hold a subtle contraction as you inhale. Lower abdomen still. And exhale. And as you watch me do it from my back, as I'm lying down, you'll notice that there's very little movement where my hand is pressing. So with the belly breathing, notice how there's a rise and then there's a fall. As we add in free breathing with the Mula Bandha, we inhale. The belly almost goes concave. We exhale. Inhale again, no movement where my hand's pressing. Exhale, very little movement, if any, downward. You'll notice because there's no less movement in the lower abdomen, it allows for a great expansion in the ribs and the upper chest. And as that inhalation starts, there's an automatic reaching upward. It's almost like we create a bit of a suction by engaging through the perineal floor and thus feeling an energetic lift upward through the entire core of the body. Now, you could think of Mula Bandha, this root lock, if you're finding it hard to keep the lower abdomen still. As you're laying on your back, press through the big toes a bit and draw an imaginary line through to the inner ankles, inner knees, inner thighs, all the way to the perineal muscle at the base of the pelvis. And just feel a lifting of that muscle. That's Mula Bandha. And that energy then draws upward into the lower abdominals, the transverse abdominals, and creates a very subtle contraction there. So you could think of this whole energetic line, big toes, inner ankles, inner knees, inner thighs, pelvic floor, transverse. It's this whole connection of energy. And as you breathe, inhale the ah, exhale the ha, there's stillness in the lower abdomen. If we keep this lower abdominal wall firm and the upper abdominal wall relaxed, the diaphragm is free to move up and down. So take a few more breaths here. This breath is incredibly strengthening for the abdomen. It massages your internal organs and leads to a strong, healthy body. And as we're doing Ashtanga Yoga and we're moving up and down in different vinyasas and dynamically, this breath supports your lower back. It's very healing and strengthening for your back. Remember, this takes lots of time and practice, so start slowly. And ideally, the breath should have the same duration between the inhalation and the exhalation. Ideally, the breath should have the same potency of sound as well. So notice when you do your yoga postures, if you can keep your breath smooth, steady, and even, almost like a metronome. Keep practicing, don't get frustrated, and remember, this is a practice for life. A little bit every day is what counts. Thank you. Namaste.